Welcome to our podcast, Inspiring Living, with me, Mark Candelaria. I am an architect, blogger, traveler, chef, father, and husband. I am the founder and now a partner of a fabulous 25-person architecture firm specializing in high-end residential architecture. I have been designing amazing homes across the country for nearly 40 years. I am the founding partner of Candelaria Design and have hosted tours to Italy, Spain, and now Napa over the last 20 years. And in the course of all this, I have met a lot of interesting people who truly inspire me. Our podcast is about all the opportunities that are right there in front of us to inspire living. Yes, I will talk about architecture and design, but every week we will venture into all sorts of topics that will inspire you, teach you, and motivate you to inspire living every day. My guests will include a wide gamut of amazing people, from those in the design industry to clients to real estate professionals, chefs, artists, sports figures, and philanthropists, and people who just flat out get it. Sit back and enjoy, and let's have some fun exploring all of the opportunities that are there just waiting for us. Please subscribe and get ready to be inspired every week. Okay, as my dad says, here we go. Okay, I've got a really fun podcast that I'm really looking forward to this. I've got Brad Leavitt. He's a builder with a Finer Touch Construction. Is that correct?
That's correct.
And I met this guy, about a year or so ago?
Yeah.
I think we had lunch at Chelsea's Kitchen over here in Paradise Valley. And man, I was just blown away by this guy. I haven't had a chance to work with him yet, but I know we've got some cool things in the works. And so I'm really looking forward to everything you've got to say and how you've done it. So welcome on board.
Thanks for having me, Mark. Yeah, I've known your name for a long time here in town. Very respected architecture firm, and it's very exciting to be here with you. And I'm a big fan. So.
Yep. So anyway, let's get right into it. You were born in San Diego, California, so you're not even a native here of Arizona.
That's correct. So born and raised in San Diego. My parents were born in San Diego, so that was where my lineage is from, and went to high school there, and. But my journey through construction has taken me to Phoenix.
So you went to college in Utah, right?
I did, yeah. So I grew up in San Diego, and just a quick background, I grew up in the industry. My father and uncles, they're electricians, so I grew up as a trade.
Okay.
And was fortunate to work in Coronado on some of the nice homes in Coronado and Rancho Santa Fe.
Yeah.
And
Not bad.
Definitely some nice scenery, right? Working through high school in the summers there on the ocean, and worked in some amazing homes that we'd remodel and even new construction, with my uncle's firm, and just gained this appreciation for construction, for building, for architecture, and especially the high quality stuff. And that's what led me to go study and do construction management.
So how young were you when you kind of got the fever for building and construction?
It was actually later in my teenage years when I was working as a freshman, sophomore, junior in the summers, 15, 16, 17, it was one of those things you do to earn money and you just kind of get by. But it was really when I was finishing high school and you're starting to think about career choices that I really started to appreciate the quality, and I started to recognize and understand how fortunate I was to work on these projects, at this, in these locations, and it was just eye-opening, and that's what really started to build that passion.
Yep. So then, like we said, you kind of headed over to Utah, BYU.
Yeah, I chose BYU. After high school, I lived in Argentina for a couple years and learned Spanish and learned some culture there. And then I went to BYU, where they have a great construction management program. We'd compete against some of the top universities in the country on some of the estimating and building teams. And upon graduation in 2005, right at that time, it was the boom throughout the country.
We were all going crazy.
Everyone was loving life in 2005. And so had some opportunities with some companies in Vegas, back in California, Florida. And I wanted to stay warm weather, of course. The cold's just not for me. And so Phoenix actually had some amazing opportunity. And it was close to home, and cost of living is that lifestyle. And I felt that, Arizona was just a great place for my family and I to move to.
Yeah. So you were married then already at this point?
I was, yes.
Yeah. And so what is real appealing to me is you are a real family man. And I think that's very noble of you. I love the fact, because I know how hard it is. Look, I've been married 3 times, so I know it's not easy to
it's tough
to pull the whole thing off. And you've got how many kids?
6 kids.
6 kids. I mean, that's amazing. It's so cool. So you ended up back here in Arizona.
Mm-hmm.
You got your family. Probably was a growing family. You probably didn't have all 6 at that point.
No, had my first one in college. So it was, but I look back at that point. I mean, it really in college where, I was going to school full time, working full time, a father now with my firstborn daughter, and you're just trying to figure out that work-life balance, right? And it really helped. At the time it was really stressful, but it really helped set the tone for where I'm at today.
Right. Yeah, the first one's kind of a shock, and then the second one's kind of another shock. And then I think at that point, at least for me, it's like, okay, I got this down now, and they're all different. Every child is completely different. But once you're to the third, I think it's kind of, okay, this is the gig. This is how I'm doing it. And you kind of forget your life before that.
Totally on point. I mean, the first one is just a shock, and then you start to kind of get your momentum, just like running any business, right?
Exactly the same.
Your first project's overwhelming, but then as you kind of start to put things together, you find systems.
Right. So you're here in 2005, and things are rocking and rolling here in Phoenix, that's for sure. And tell us a little bit about what you were doing then at that point in time.
Yeah, so I first out of school, I took a position for a production builder. So I worked for a production builder and worked for them for about 11 months. And it was a great experience from the production side. They did semi-custom residential, so it was a great experience understanding just a better level of detail and production mindset, right? Trying to manage 25 homes at a time and 25 clients and just that customer service relation. But my end goal was always to do custom homes and commercial. Right. And so that was the diving board or
Well, it's a great place to learn the systems.
Yeah, it was.
I think that's a problem I see in working with a lot of builders is it's all ad hoc and they have no systems. And you can always tell the good builders they have a system. They have a system of doing everything. Yeah. And I think some of the best builders I have worked with over the years started in the production area because they learned that methodology.
It really does. I mean, you learn scheduling on a multi-level mindset. You're learning how to manage a lot of people, a lot of clients, and from punch lists to phone calls and all those little things that go into being a successful builder. I mean, you learn it in doing production.
It's not just hammers and nails.
No,
there's so much more to it.
And understand each design book and each spec for each house. And so there were great systems at the company I worked for that really set that tone and really helped catapult me to my next position, which is where helped me to get where I am today. And that was, I was hired as one of the PMs at
Rowland,
the Montelucia, at Rowland.
Yeah.
So right up the street from you, Mark, not just around the corner up here and on Lincoln and Tatum, that beautiful $300 million hotel and resort. And so I was able to really cut my teeth and learn the industry, a lot more.
And the high end.
On the high end, yeah. And working with, as a mixed residential and commercial project. And you had the spa and the arrival zone and the restaurant and the custom home. So working with that and the different clientele and the, all those involved, it was just a great experience.
So you were there for how long, roughly?
About 3 years on that project, yeah. And with Rowland, the GC I was working for, I was with them 5.5 years.
Okay. And then that's about when the economy started to turn.
It did, yeah. The economy in 2008, as we know, had the crash, and that's when things really started to pull back. A lot of projects we were chasing at the time never ended up coming to fruition. And fortunately, I was at Montelucia through 2009, so that carried us through part. And then we had dabbled on some other projects through 2011 when I left.
Okay. And where did you go from there?
Then that's where we are today.
You
so
started up, right?
I did. Yeah. So my business partner and I, his name's Dave Clark, and he's from Wisconsin, and he had some property here in town. So we joined up and with the end goal to start AFT, a Finer Test Construction. But in the interim, we were acquiring our real estate. So we're buying real estate and building that portfolio just to give some brick and mortar behind us as a company.
Yeah. And it was a great time. I mean, you could pick up properties at pennies on the dollar.
It was the best time. In fact, we look back, we're pretty fortunate. We bought our office, our building, which is in the Scottsdale Air Park, North Scottsdale. And at the time in 2011, I mean, it was a steal of a project, and we gutted it and fixed it up, and we have tenants that are there with us now, and we're up top, but it worked out really good.
That's awesome. So you got the company started, and it grew from there. I mean, now we're in 2019, so 8 years later. Tell me about that. How have you gone from there to where you are now?
Well,
tell me about what you're doing right now.
Yeah, so we primarily were a commercial and residential contractor. We work on really high-end custom homes that range anywhere from $1.5 to $4 million from our contract side. And then on the commercial side, mid-level and anything from 800,000 to about 3 million on the commercial side. And so that's our bread and butter. We do remodels as well, but so it's evolved. But to your point, it's funny when you start as a company, even though you have the connections and you have, you start to build that network under the AFT umbrella. We didn't have a resume, right? We're building that.
We build a resume.
You're taking what you can, and especially at that time in the recession, we would take the little bathroom remodel.
Yeah.
We would take the kitchen remodel.
Yeah, you take anything you could get.
Yeah, the little addition. So every little project we would take and just start to build that portfolio, start to build that reputation, and show what we're capable of.
Right.
And more than anything, one of the big components that's really helped us to grow as a company is social media. So in 2015, about 4 years ago, we really started attacking social media on all the platforms to showcase our resume and put ourselves out there and start building these long-lasting relationships with our customers and vendors.
Yeah, I think you've done an amazing job with that. And one of the things that I see not only in the design industry, but particularly in the construction industry, is people are so reluctant to promote their work. I mean, to get photos of it and get it out there. And it's been one of the best things that we've ever done, is just photo document as much as we can, not only the finished products, but the process, And I think what I enjoy about watching your page is you show all that. You show these things that are construction. You show drone shots of it being framed, and it's engaging. And you want to watch that project come to life,
right? And then see it to its completion. And it's funny you say that, because I can relate. I mean, as an architect, you relate. You spend all this time in design, all this time in pre-construction, and then the project's done, and it's this race to get it finished and get C of O, get the furniture in, the client takes possession,
and you're on to the next
and then you're
thing.
off to the next one.
Right.
And you forget that small window. And a lot of it's planning, a lot of it's coordination,
right.
And there's a time crunch. But to get in and photograph and really document, because you've invested a year and a half, maybe 2 years into that.
And what I've learned, architects and builders, I think sometimes we want to wait till the trees grow and it gets a little better, and that's great if you can do that. If you can get that, if you're patient enough, and your client will let you come back a year and a half later to shoot it, that's great. But what I've learned is it's really smart to just, if you get that opportunity to shoot it, just shoot it.
Yeah.
The trees will grow. Yeah, maybe they're not as perfect. And if you get the opportunity 2 years later to shoot it again, shoot it again.
Go back. Yeah.
But you may not get that opportunity 2 years later. And I've learned, if you have that opportunity, just get it shot.
And take it. Yeah, take it. And it could be that, even to your point, maybe some of the furniture's not in. Right. The long lead time. Maybe there may be a room you missed, but at least
I'm lucky I live with an interior designer. So we take this whole room that you're sitting in right now, and we just take it to that house and
it's
fill
perfect.
It. And sometimes that's what you have to do.
Yeah, you can stage it. Yeah.
Yeah.
It's so smart. It's so forward thinking. And I think a lot of people don't realize the value of that forward thinking, right? Stage it, get it photographed, and then get your info out there. And you were alluding to this point too, Mark, is that a lot of people, whether it's, I don't want to say lack of planning, but whether you're not making the time or you don't want to put yourselves out there.
Right. So I think it's that. I think more people don't want to put them. They feel like, well, you're just doing the look at me business.
Yeah. But there's a way to do it where you're not really salesy and not braggadocious, but just more, hey, let's take you inside. A lot of people don't know what it's like to watch frame stage, or watch you in design stage. What is it like when Mark's thinking about, a design, and from concept to reality? How is he putting that sketch together? Most of us have no idea the work, the background,
effort.
The work. The
well,
effort.
and that's what I always tell people. Everyone says, well, how much does something cost per square foot? And you tell them a number, and it's like, oh, wow, that's really expensive. But if you were to actually do a video of every step from buying the lot to designing the house to building the house, and did a time lapse of that whole thing, everyone would walk out of there and go, okay, this is a steal.
Yeah.
This is a total bargain. Because it is. If you really add it all up and look at what goes into creating one house, it's amazing.
It's just a labor nightmare in a way. And then we don't want to use the word nightmare, but people don't realize the amount of labor, right? The amount of labor in design and planning and architecture to get to permit even.
Right.
And then all the labor, that time lapse of people in the house.
I'm sitting in my studio with a glass of wine drawing roof tiles for an hour. And I'm like, okay, some poor guy or woman needs to get up on that roof when it's 110 like a day like today, and they have to lay every one of these tiles.
Right.
Okay? And so, it is amazing the amount of work that goes into these projects. And on my Italy trip, I think one of the big examples of that was we always stop at this place where they do hand-painted pottery.
Mm-hmm.
And we go into the showroom first. They show us the pottery, and like a plate is like $200, dinner plate. And like, I'm not paying $200 for a dinner plate. And then you go into the studio, and they show you how that plate comes to life from a lump of clay to Uncle whoever it is hand painting it. And everyone walks back in that showroom. I'll take 12 of them.
Yeah.
So,
because you see the artistry behind it
and the story behind it.
Yeah, and the story. This isn't just a manufacturing line where things are produced. That's not our field and industry.
Right.
This is, our projects, yours and mine, is it's handcrafted.
Labors of love.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yep. And so then the other thing that I think we just alluded to too is the story, and I think that's where social media comes in so nicely. Is telling the story behind all the steps and the house that's created, and that's something I've really enjoyed watching you do, is tell that story.
Well, thank you. I think one thing I've learned over time, and I was pretty shy at the beginning, to be on camera, to record myself, and you get to the point where you become comfortable. But what I've realized is that you can start building that personality and that, as you said, that story behind what you do, and show people why you're dedicated to your craft and all the process that goes into it. And it just helps people understand more of what we do, right? It creates an expectation with our clients now where they see a lot of the behind the scenes and the time it takes. And so it's actually helped us as we set those expectations with clients on the front end.
Yeah, exactly. And I think a lot of trades and the people that are involved in these projects, I think it's very rewarding to them to see their work.
Oh, it is.
Because a lot of, the stucco guy's not going to go post his stuff. I mean, some of them do. Actually, I have a couple stucco guys that have done a pretty good job of posting lately. But I get so many comments like, "Oh, I'm so glad you showed, that ceiling that we did, because I'm so proud of that."
Yeah.
And that to me is very rewarding,
And most people, like you said, they maybe at the front end or in the middle of the project, and they don't see the end result. They're off to the next one, and so your platform enables them to see their work come to fruition.
Exactly. So tell a little bit of how you use these platforms. I mean, I just think you're very successful in how you've taken your content and gotten it out there and really built a huge following.
Well, thanks, Mark. Yeah, the biggest thing that I found, it's engagement, right? I mean, it's one thing to just get out there and post and let it, go into space as it will. But the one thing I've found is as you engage, as you're responding to questions and responding to comments and people that, I have a lot of people that reach out on, hey, what's that countertop?
Right.
What does it cost to do a home like this? And all these little questions, and we'll respond. We'll engage with them. And I think that's what you start to create this loyal base where they feel like, okay, they're Brad or Mark. Yeah, I'm part of something. I can relate. Mark, he's the lifestyle. He's a chef on the side. He has his family. They travel and so they can relate and they can see kind of ebbs and flow of your profession. And so as you create that personality, and I think any of the accounts that gain the most traction are the ones that have that personality behind it.
It's interesting.
Yeah.
So I think I think you've done a great job with that. And so one of the things I wanted to ask you is, you're at this point where you have done that. What are some of the things you see not only in construction but in social media? What are some of the trends that you see coming that I think we can take advantage of? Because I remember in 2006-07 when the cell phones came out. In 2009 I started my blog. And I wish I was a better blogger, but I'm busy doing architecture and a lot of other things. But you could see those trends coming. I remember people used to laugh at me all the time. Oh, there's Candelaria, Mr. Facebook. I said, but they're not laughing now.
No, they're not.
And so, I think it's interesting to see what's coming next.
Yeah.
And obviously, we're doing this podcast, which I think is great because it's very engaging.
It is.
And what else do you see?
So I think videos. People are visual, right? And it's the 15 to 30-second videos. And whether you're using LinkedIn has actually changed their platform. It's becoming a lot more video friendly. Just like you see Instagram. Instagram joined in with the IGTV and TikTok. And so, YouTube, people are really engaged. So I see the more videos, the more content people can produce will drive their business because and it could be something as simple as drawing a sketch on a napkin. It could be something as simple as maybe saw cutting a curb, to put your driveway in on a custom house. People want to see that quick process. I mean, heck, I watch my kids and just kind of see their patterns. I have 6 of them, right? So they come home and they want to watch YouTube. They want to watch, kids unbox their toys, and I'm sure a lot of people can relate. They want to see slime videos, right?
Right.
But there's something about these little 15 to 20-second videos that's capturing audiences,
Right.
and all of these platforms are kind of moving towards that way.
Yeah, and that's what we're doing. We're doing a lot more with video, and like I said, the roof tiles. I
Yeah.
can't tell how many people comment back to me, 'cause I can sit there and watch those roof tiles. You draw roof tiles for an hour. You know,
Yeah.
I think it's as meditative as it is for me. I think it's the same thing for the viewers. You know, they're sitting there like they just get sucked in.
They do, and it's something they haven't seen. I mean, who understands the complexity of designing and then installing roof tiles, right?
Right.
And you're showcasing that.
Right. Yeah, in fact, it'd be fun to combine me drawing it. We could morph into your guys laying
Yeah.
it. This is how it happens, guys.
Yeah, and then you just merge those two videos together.
Yeah. So the video, I think, is definitely a big thing. Is there anything else you kind of see on the horizon?
Yeah, I from the video side, the podcast side, I mean, it's really about all these platforms are based on content.
Yeah.
So anyone that's producing good content, and one thing when I'm, networking with other people, my biggest recommendation to them is people are short attention spans now.
Right.
So if you're posting videos that are maybe taken from your iPhone or that are blurry or maybe not cropped perfectly,
Click.
they're moving on. They're
Yeah.
not checking that, and it may not even come up on their feed because Instagram and these platforms are going to check the resolution and
Right.
they're going to know that through their algorithm. So if you're producing good content, good photos, good videos, and engaging, you just need to engage. And really, all these platforms are moving that way, and that'll help you build your
Interesting.
social media.
Yeah. So it's worth putting the effort into some of this
100%.
stuff.
I mean,
Yeah.
I think to your point, where's the industry going? Well, I think anyone that's not on all of the big platforms, and as these new platforms come out that they're not first in, they're going to miss the boat because our economy is changing. Cable TV and direct TV and all these, with Netflix. I mean, everything's
Right.
kind of moving into a different realm, and so you need to be on the forefront of technology and just stay. No matter what our
Yeah.
age is, we have to stay up on it.
Yeah, and it's going to change again.
It will.
I mean, there'll be something else within the next 2-3 years, and it'll just keep evolving.
When you were the king of Facebook, I mean, who would have thought that now it's LinkedIn and it's Instagram and
Yeah.
House and all these other things that you need to be on.
And you kind of turned me back on to LinkedIn. I kind of forgot about it, and I always think of LinkedIn as like that's where you put your resume, But as you've kind of reawakened me to it, I've gone back and wow, it really has kind of evolved just in the last year.
Yeah, it's totally changed. Yeah,
So
and they're continuing to change, and it's LinkedIn's been super powerful for us. I mean, not just to continue to build that resume, but to network
Right.
with other professionals and subcontractors and suppliers because they're on there.
right. Okay, so let me ask you this then. I know you've got 6 kids, you're married, you've got a business. How do you find the time to do all this stuff?
It's going back to that time management, I guess. You just start to realize, as we mentioned before the podcast, you really understand there's 24 hours in a day,
Yep.
right? We have maybe to the minute you and I are scheduling our days, and we're really
Yep.
conscious of where we're at and what time. And
Yep. Not much time to waste.
not much time. So, processing the day based on, okay, where am I going to be today? Make sure I'm on the same part of town as we work all over town. And so it's just really strong coordination with my kids' schedules, my wife's schedule, my work schedule, and then, of course, gym time or any other extracurricular to stay healthy, right?
Right.
And active.
So what do you do to balance that stuff in terms of managing the stress, staying healthy? What do you do?
Well, I think it goes into planning, right? You have to have time. I think everyone should have time every day, whether it be meditation, whether it be
Right.
exercise time, good eating habits if you can, and preparation, food prep, on a Sunday for the week.
Yep.
So there's a few different elements there just from a healthy lifestyle. And I think managing the stress is always the hardest thing. I wish there was some secret that I could reveal to
Now, how old
manage
are you
stress.
right now, if I can ask
I'm,
you?
I'm 38.
Okay, so you're still very young.
Yeah.
Okay, so about your age is when I kind of, I don't know, subconsciously learned how to manage stress a lot better. Before 38, man, I tell you, the littlest things would just stress me out.
Yeah.
And I guess at some point you just realize 90% of it never is going to happen.
Yeah.
And you just kind of go with the flow. It's a 24-hour thing. How much can go wrong in 24 hours?
Mm-hmm.
And I think you spend so much time focused on the what ifs that are bad versus focusing maybe on the what ifs that could be great.
Yeah.
And I tell people just flip it on your brain. Not everything that you think is going to be bad is going to happen. In fact, most of it won't.
I actually love that counsel, Mark. That's something that in the last couple of years I feel that I've gotten better at is
Yeah.
that we do obsess over the things that could go wrong, or maybe the issues on a project, or an issues with the client, or what they're thinking.
You do have to think about them.
Yeah, you do, but you realize that this will pass, right? This too will. I mean, I look back at projects that we've completed, and then you think about all the hiccups that happen, and you're like, I was stressing about all these little things, and here we are, and it's finished, and it turned out great, and why did I spend so much time stressing about that?
What I've learned about that is, and my predecessor, my mentor, George Christensen, was the master of this. I mean, he could have so many things go wrong on a project, but what I learned from him is he never quit.
Yeah.
And it's like life, you keep going, and his thing was always finish strong, finish strong, finish in front of the client, and they'll respect the fact that you never gave up and you got them to the goal line. And everyone realizes there's going to be hiccups, but it's how you deal with those hiccups and you don't desert ship.
Yeah.
That gets the ship to the shore.
Exactly. Yeah.
So that was one of the things that I learned, and just, again, just don't worry about everything and try to focus on all the positives along the way.
Yeah, and I found that all of us need to find outlets. All of us handle stress differently, and everyone has different outlets. Maybe it is going to the gym, going for a run.
So what works for you?
So I found I actually play a lot of basketball. So I play basketball a few times a week. So that's a great stress reliever, because when I'm there on the court, I'm not thinking about any other issues going on.
It's meditative.
Yeah,
Same thing.
And sometimes it's if I'll sit down with my wife sometimes in the evening, watch a comedy or a fun, lighthearted show. Sometimes we'll turn on an episode of The Office or something, and that's just
takes your mind off.
Yeah, good way to laugh and not stress about it. So all of us have different outlets. Maybe be reading a book and
cooking for me.
Cooking, yeah. And you show that. I mean, you do a great job showing that it's just that outlet where you can put that energy into something else and kind of take your mind off things.
Right. So in terms of being a dad, how old are your children now?
So we have 5 daughters, 1 son, and our oldest is 15. She's a sophomore.
Your hairline's doing way better than mine for five daughters. I only have 3, and look what happened to me.
Well, don't look too closely because it's moving fast. But so my oldest, she's 15. She's a sophomore in high school, and then middle school and elementary school. We have 2 daughters in elementary school, and then 1 in preschool, and our young 2-year-old. So it is super active with cheer and soccer and performing arts and gymnastics and swim and all the and my son will be starting t-ball. He's only 3, but so he's going to get in. So it's just
I mean, you have like 4 games a day sometimes.
It is really stressful at times when you're trying to figure out the business development side of our company, meeting with clients, and a lot of times we're meeting off hours, and coordinating that with kids' schedules and their events and my wife's things. And so there's a lot of balance and a lot of communication. A lot of communication at home.
Yeah. So what's ahead for Brad? What's coming up with the future for you?
No, that's a great question. So one thing that we've really started to dive into is the building science. And so, we've made a big effort as a company, not only to get our name out there and start to build these really high-end projects and high-end quality, but we want to start leaving our mark as far as from sustainability, building science, building methods. What can we do to be better? And that's something that I'm continually seeking as we're meeting with different professionals and experts throughout the industry. How can we build a better home?
Less waste.
Not even something that's more expensive, but something that's more durable for our client, right?
Right.
Whether it be advanced framing and how we design the HVAC system, and as we coordinate with firms such as yourself, and we start looking at all the testing from the beginning and the layouts to make sure that we're designing something that's airtight but sustainable and less impact on the economy. And so that's really what we're pursuing. I mean, of course, the growth of our company and some of these signature projects are important to us, but at the same time, we want to make sure we're doing something that's
right. So you're doing some commercial work, you said too, right?
Yeah, absolutely.
What do you prefer better? And what's your favorite thing to do?
That's a good question. It's funny, they're so different. So in the commercial world, it's a different mindset. We have different trades. It's we just finished 2 of these restaurant breweries, and we just started Tuesday of this week on a new facelift on the shopping center in Mesa. And the mentality is different, although it's not that we're jeopardizing quality, but it's speed, it's time. Right. We need to get a brewery done in 4 months.
Right. Whereas they're not agonizing over every little detail.
They're not.
Like a residential client can.
Right. So the one thing I do enjoy about commercial, how quick we're in and out.
Right.
At times, I don't like the stress because you're working weekends, so it can be a lot on our staff. But I do enjoy being able to go back and visit the restaurants and visit these locations that are staples in town. On the residential side, I do just have a passion for the high-end quality. It is fun to see the meticulous nature of a project that takes a year or a year and a half
building.
and every little detail, and working with the architect on every little thing that they've designed and the designer has, envisioned that we're bringing to life.
Right. So one of the things that keeps coming in my brain is, the trades and the availability of people to do the work.
Mm-hmm.
I look at the kids that I see, my friends and my kids' friends, and I don't see anyone wanting to do stucco work or being an electrician or a plumber.
Right.
They all want to, do something on Instagram or invent video games or, you know what I'm saying?
Software or whatever. Yeah. Mm-hmm.
So have you noticed that there's been a fall off in, I go out to the job sites and it seems like everyone's over 50.
Yeah.
And there's no young kids working.
That is one of the biggest things that we're pushing as an industry. So we have a couple members of our team that are involved in what they call Keep Craft Alive. So, as a country, it's interesting as, not to get on a political side, but it's funny how for so many years, and I was in this age where it's, you got to go to college, right? And the amount of cost for these kids to go get a bachelor's degree now.
It's ridiculous.
It is. And what you're spending, you're $100,000 in debt, or a small house or condo, and now it's hard to get a job.
Right. I think the millennials have been held back virtually 10 to 15 years because of that debt.
Yeah. And so just this mindset that you have to, whereas, there's different elements to be successful, right? You can go maybe to JC and then do your MBA or get a master's degree and a doctorate. And then spend the money where you're going to catapult into a different career. Or maybe you go into a trade school and go into a specialty, whether it be if you're going to be a chef, going to that. Or, people that maybe want to be in sports talk radio, there's schools catered to them to go into that side. And so I see that in construction that now I see a big push nationally to get to get these trades back at the high school level.
Right.
Get them excited about to see you can make a great living as a subcontractor, as an architect, as a builder.
Right. I mean, that's how I did it, to be honest with you. I took drafting in high school. And then started going to ASU. The recession came, had to quit, got a job as a draftsman, and worked my way up the old-fashioned way. And what was interesting about that was within 4 or 5 years, I was a partner in an architecture firm, and all the buddies that were in college with me now came out of college in debt, and they were working for me. Right. And that did not go over so good. A couple of them quit architecture completely and became lawyers.
Yeah.
And so to me, it's like, I look at some of these kids that come in our industry, they have virtually no experience. They've got a master's degree in architecture, but they don't even know what a 2x4 is.
Right. Exactly.
And I'm like, what did you guys learn?
Yeah.
They know all this theory and all this stuff.
And there's a big drop-off, as you mentioned. I mean, even for me in school, I mean, you can become book smart, if you will, but it's totally different when you're applying it to real life.
Right.
And managing a project. And so I think as you kind of educate everyone that, hey, there's a lot of career choices going into the trades and going into education.
Right. And they're great jobs.
They are.
And they're endless.
Endless jobs. And it's something our country, I mean, every country is always going to be building. There's going to be building and remodeling and new infrastructure as population grows and demands grow.
Right.
Whether it be commercial, residential. And so that opportunity is there for everyone. And, so that Keep Craft Alive is really helping people understand that there's a great career, and it's not something that should be looked down on to be an architect or a contractor. I mean, there's a lot of opportunity in those trades.
Opportunity.
Yeah.
And, I look at some of this stuff, and especially like the amount of houses out there that need to be remodeled.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, you just drive through parts of North Phoenix or West Phoenix, and there's blocks and blocks and blocks of houses that were built in the 80s.
Yeah.
And what's going to become of those neighborhoods? I mean, are they going to all be torn down and facelifted? I mean, there's so much land sitting underneath 30-year-old, pretty horrible houses.
Yeah. Because the construction in Phoenix at that time wasn't the best.
It wasn't the quality.
It wasn't because
just crank them out.
Yeah, just crank them out and a lot of production mentality. And so there's a ton of opportunity. And you think about on a national level, I mean, look at all these homes back east and in the Midwest they're even older. I mean, we're pretty new as a state, right? Yep. But they're even older, and they need some love, even though the shells were built with quality, but the interiors need some love and some upkeep.
Right.
So there's so much opportunity for young professionals in architecture and design and construction to build a lasting career, working for someone or starting their own company someday.
Right. So how many employees do you have in your company?
So there's nine of us.
Yeah. So you have people in construction, project management, probably some back office management.
Correct. So we have a couple project managers, superintendents, and then coordinators, and then accounting. And so about half of them are in the field, and half in the office. And we don't self-perform, so we don't have our own framing or trim company.
Right.
We're a strict GC, and we have a group of supers that can do commercial, and a group that do residential, and a group of trades in each category, and then tiers in each of those, depending on the level, the complication, the budget. All those factors will depend on who we hire and who we bid with.
Right. So do you see yourself growing?
Yeah, I think so. I mean, our goal is not to be the biggest company in town. That's never been my aspiration, but we want to seek, as I mentioned, from a quality to a signature project to building signs, just projects that make sense for our wheelhouse, right? That we can deliver for our clients. So we want to be known as someone that can be hired and take the job from beginning to end with our partners of designers and architects, and they know by hiring us that they can go away and do their thing. It's funny, we did a video with one of our clients, and they said AFT is saving marriages one at a time, right? Because our goal was that they could hire us, an architect and a designer, and they can go live their life, make their money, do what they do, and not stress. Let us take the project from beginning to end.
Clients need to figure that one out. I mean, some of them get so involved, and it's like, I always tell people, here's my fee as an architect, here's my fee as an architect in marriage counseling. And it's true. I can't tell you how many jobs sometimes am I really just doing architecture here, or so much more?
It is funny. I mean, the marriage counseling, psychiatrist / hand holding. I mean, it's like
big time.
Yeah. Sometimes, I mean, the reason
you get a good client. Not that they're all good.
Yeah.
But you get one that understands the principle of, hey, I hired you. I'm putting a team together. Here's what I want. Here's my input along the way, and they just get out of the way and let you do the job.
Yeah.
And I always tell people, because we do a lot of jobs hourly, not to exceed.
Yeah.
And those people come out smelling like a bandit because they just let us do our job. And those jobs almost always turn out so much better.
Yeah.
They're done faster, ended up costing less money. And, I think, but people love design.
Yeah.
They want to be involved. I have a lot of attorneys that are wannabe architects. A lot of doctors that like to be wannabe architects.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, doctors for sure.
And so sometimes it's just a real adventure.
But you hit 2 points. It's interesting that as the clients understand that they're hiring you as a professional, that they save time and money. And I think a lot of them don't realize that it is a quicker process because you're leaving it to the professionals to do this and understand it. And although you can still get the input on their vision, but let us execute. But a lot of them, I mean, in their defense, they come from maybe backgrounds where they're managers and they're overseen, and they feel that they, it's that letting go, right? Which is tough. To let go. It is tough.
Especially with your personal space.
Personal space, they're investing.
Right.
It's probably one of the biggest investments they'll ever make. And so it's a
dream.
Lot of money. It's a dream. They've been saving up their whole life thinking about this. And so you can understand where they're coming from with those dollars that are hanging out there, why they want to be involved.
Yeah. And what's funny is a lot of those type clients have become such good friends in the end because you are so invested with them. You are there every day. I've had a client that we worked on their house for 11 years.
Wow.
5 years in design, or 6 years in design and 5 years in construction.
That's amazing.
Yeah.
I think that's a record. That's the first. That's longer than we've been in business.
That's longer than I've been married. So it's like, it's crazy. So I think, that's just it. Every single project is completely unique, right?
Yeah.
I mean, you can put an underlying formula to what you do, but you've got to call audibles all along the way.
Yeah. Absolutely. Yeah, and you have to be able to read the client and understand what speaks to them. One thing just, as I've learned, and I think this is one of the hard things running any business and any company, is that communication. And I've learned to do a better job, setting the right expectations with the clients. Just, as you make mistakes in the past with clients, maybe not communicating something to make sure on the next one, hey, I can handle this a little bit better. And, you learn how to gauge different personalities, how to vet the client a little bit better and know what speaks to them.
Yeah.
So
it's a process.
It's a process.
It's funny because I'm almost 60, and I guess it's a good thing is I feel like I'm still learning. I mean, every day I feel the same as I did when I was 30 in this business. It's like, okay, I guess I'm just learning at a higher level than I was then. but it's pretty much endless. I mean, you're never going to learn it all because there's always a higher level you can gravitate towards.
Yeah, and not only that, as you mentioned earlier in the podcast, I mean, it's funny that, Mark, even at that age, you haven't stopped. I mean, here we are, and you're so technological savvy, right? You're doing all these apps and doing podcasts, and it's like you're not ceasing to learn. And I think that's key to any business that's going to grow is just continually understanding that you don't know it all, and there's more to learn.
Well, and there's so many people out there that you could learn from.
Yeah.
And that's part of what I like about this whole podcast thing is just in the short time I've been doing the little interviews and the question, there's people I've known for a long time, but there was a whole part of them I didn't even know about.
Yeah.
And if I don't, no one else knows. And it's really, to me, it's very fascinating to see how people have taken their life and turned it into something.
Right.
And I think everyone struggles with that, especially when they're first starting out, of how am I going to do this, and where's the roadmap? And everyone's roadmap is different. Like I always love the thing you got to take a car. You can't learn how to drive a car that's parked. You got to get in the car and just start driving.
Yeah, I love that.
And so I just think that a lot of people are so afraid to try things, and you obviously keep trying things.
Yeah.
And they don't all work.
They don't all work, and they don't. and I love where you're kind of alluding to is that just the entrepreneurship of running any company, right, and that experience and learning, because, it's funny, a lot of us who maybe, or a lot of those listening that may be aspiring to be a business owner, as an entrepreneur, it seems like throughout the day there's ups and downs, and it could change every 5 minutes, right?
Right.
And, you just start learning that there's so much to learn and experience, and you just sometimes have to get in that car and drive. And it's okay, we're going to make mistakes, but as you learn from those and network with good people, and there's a lot of information out there, a lot of people willing to help.
Yeah, I think the good people thing is so critical. I think a lot of people get bogged down with the wrong type of people.
Yeah,
and I can't stress how important it is to get around people that are positive, encourage you, versus people that tear you down and say, well, why are you doing that? What are you trying to prove? And, to me, you don't need those kind of people in your life.
Yeah.
Find the people that are doing things and encouraging you along the way. And that energy is very infectious.
Oh, it's huge. I mean, people that are innovative and positive, to your point, we live in an energy world, and to have more positive energy it's just going to do much better things for you and your company. I mean, you have to surround yourself with people like that, not the negative Nellies out there.
Right. So what's some of your exciting projects you got going on right now?
Yeah, so we have a really amazing build at Pinnacle Peak, just at the base of the hiking trail. So I know a lot of people that hike that trail. So reach out to me on social media, say, hey, we're hiking by, seeing it. We're actually setting trusses today, and we'll be the plan will be around Thanksgiving to get that to drywall and then start moving in to finishes before the end of the year.
Okay.
So that one's super exciting, and that's a hillside build, and that's been a fun, challenging project. And we have a couple commercial projects. We're going to be doing some ground development, some raw dirt that we're going to be taking retail down in Chandler, and we're doing the facelift in Mesa, and that's going to be a fun transformation. It's a shopping center that's that Southwest style that we're taking a little bit more modern.
That's cool.
So that's going to be unique. We finished those breweries, and we have quite a few other up and coming residential projects that we're working on with some clients throughout North Scottsdale and PV, and
so then you've got a PBS thing going on, don't you? What do you have something like a interview or a...
Yeah, so we actually yesterday we had Fox 10 News out. They were out talking about the labor right now because we're having that labor issue in town. But I am going to be flying to New York here in 2 weeks to speak at the LinkedIn Global Conference. So
that's what it is.
So LinkedIn Global in New Jersey, they're going to be doing it's a big LinkedIn networking evening there, just outside of Manhattan.
Mm-hmm.
So my wife and I will be flying out there and speaking on one of the panels about entrepreneurship.
Awesome.
So yeah, that'll be the
That's
LinkedIn
great.
conference.
And when is that?
That'll be Thursday night, September 19th, I believe.
Yeah, so we'll get the link and all that stuff from you. We'll get it on our website. When we do this podcast, we'll get it out there.
Yeah, and I think they're going to record, so we'll be able to publish some stuff from our side. And we're super active. I mean, we've been meeting with a lot of suppliers nationally, doing some joint marketing with them. And we're part of a Builder 20 group, so it's a group of 20 builders throughout the country.
It's a great group. I've got several builder friends that are in those groups.
Oh, they're amazing. And actually, and I will give props to Rod Collum, who's a builder in town, Collum Homes. So Rod's been great, and he's one of those guys, super positive, and in the industry, it's funny. I'm not sure how it is for architecture, but as builders, it seems to be kind of close-knit. A lot of people don't want to share their secrets,
Right.
but Rod's always been more.
Yeah, he's great.
He's awesome, super kind to me, always been super friendly.
Smart guy.
Yeah, and he pulled me aside and said, "Hey, Brad, one advice to you as young up-and-comer to get in one of these Builder 20 groups." And I was fortunate to be invited into one, and it's really helped refine our business as far as meeting with 20 professionals around the country that you're sharing financials and building ideas and contracts and how we can be just better contractors, and it's been just eye-opening. So my conference, actually, I'll be in Montana next week for our 6-month Builder Conference.
Oh, that's cool.
I was in Charleston with them last April, and now it's in Montana, and then the next week we'll be heading to the LinkedIn speaking engagement. So
you're busy.
It's busy. I won't be as busy as you, Mark, heading over to Europe here soon, but it is exciting. We have some
we'll have
fun
to get
things
you on
coming.
one of those trips.
We will.
For sure.
Oh, we will. Yeah, the biggest thing for my wife and I, we're gonna have to get some babysitters lined up. So.
We're thinking of adding that service to one of our services here.
Man, if you do that, then we're in for sure. That's incredible.
So speaking of kids, do any of your kids interested in the business?
It's funny. They've actually really into design. They love walking the projects, especially on the finish side. My daughters really love design. They love to see some of the different furnishings and paint and selections and tiles. So that excites them, and it's fun. We've done a couple projects with some of their friends' parents. So we did some projects nearby, and it's fun for them to say, "Oh, my dad did that house," and
right.
And so they've shown some appreciation for the trades, at least.
That's great.
Yeah.
How about your wife?
She loves design. So my wife's background, she did marketing for a company. Actually, her dad is a commercial developer. So she grew up, understanding the commercial development side, and she actually worked for Trammell Crow Company.
Okay.
So Trammell Crow is a big developer back east. I think they're based out of Texas, but she was in D.C. working for them. CBRE, purchased them. And so she was working in D.C. for Trammell Crow, and they did a lot of projects where they would take an old apartment building or an old hospital and then convert it into high-end condos, luxury condos, and sell them retail. So she did marketing for them. So she's always loved design, and so it's fun as, I'll collaborate with her on different projects.
How'd you meet her?
Actually, a mutual friend introduced us. So he had known her since she was young and knew me and introduced us, and went on a blind date, and the rest is history.
The rest is history. But you guys both had that construction DNA in there.
Yeah, we did. So it's been a good match. So it's fun because she can relate to some of the challenges and some of the exciting things we're doing. She has, a good understanding of that side of it from development and construction.
That's awesome.
So.
Well, I'm excited to finally do something with you. So I think we're going to make something happen here in the short term.
We do.
And I know whoever benefits from that is going to really enjoy the process with the two of us.
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
So,
and we have some stuff on the horizon that will be forthcoming for listeners. Stay tuned because we're going to have some amazing projects with you, Mark.
That's cool. So anything else you want to say before we cut off here? No,
I just appreciate the opportunity. I love Phoenix. This has been a great place. This is home, although I'm not native. I mean, we've lived here since 2005, and it is a great city, and it's just exciting to see the growth. And one thing that I love about Phoenix is, when I first moved here, it was a lot of a construction and real estate town, but it's changed the last 10 years. A lot of businesses
it's changing
have come
a lot
in,
right now.
A lot of tech companies, a lot of different headquarters have come in, so it's exciting to see new change, new businesses.
Yeah.
Job growth, and it's fun. It's a good place.
Yeah, I mean, I moved here in '79, and then the amount of change since then. But like I said, it's really kind of accelerated, it seems like, in the last 5 years in terms of the sophistication of what's happening here.
It's totally changing. Yeah. And it's exciting.
It's a great city. I mean, I love the fact that we're so close to everything, but we're not L.A.
Yeah, we're not L.A. And no natural disasters. It's just hot.
Wood.
Yeah, knock on wood. It's just a little hot outside. So
exactly. Well, thanks again, my friend.
Yeah, thank you.
I really appreciate your time, and I think this was a lot of fun, and we'll go from here.
All right, sounds good, Mark. Thank you.
All right, brother. Okay, fantastic job there by Brad Leavitt of A Finer Touch Construction. Thank you so much for appearing on our podcast. Tell you what, this guy is going to be a force to be reckoned with in the construction industry. I'm so looking forward to doing a project with him. Great attitude, total family man. He's the real deal for sure. Okay, so next week we are going to celebrate my 59th birthday, and I've got some fun guests who will be joining me. on looking back at the last 59 years and looking forward to the next 59. So stay tuned. We will have a lot of fun. See you next week. Thanks for listening. We hope you enjoyed our podcast. We encourage you to write a review, screenshot it, and share it with your friends. Please instant message it to me and follow us on Instagram and Facebook. We thank you for listening, and we look forward to sharing more insights to inspiring living next week.